Politics defines our future. But who is asking the hard question?
Is intimidating governors to our opposition, and some allegations even say monies are offered to the tune of billions of naira to these governors to come to the APC.
On Big Talk, we take politics beyond party lines and press statements. We interrogate policies, challenge power,
and it shall be addressed,
and demand accountability from those who govern, from the presidency to the National Assembly, from state governments to grassroots politics. We break down the decisions that affect your daily life. No propaganda, no political comfort zone, just facts, context, and fearless conversations. Big Talk is where leaders explain, analysts dissect, and the people understand.
2015 elections were not held. They are doing rigging.
Don't just watch politics, question it. Tune in to Big Talk on Global Television every weekday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's still Big Talk. My name is Ubong Osoro. Tonight on the program, we're being our searchlight on the South region, a region that provides 60% of Nigeria's budgetary provision needs, as well of raising funds from oil and gas that is being exploited from that particular region. And we have joining us tonight on the program Ola Lee Ibinabo Henry, who is the South Youth leader of that community in Abuja. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
All right, so before we went on a break, I want to ask about youth development in the region and youth integration, because we've seen, for instance, the president of the Senate that we have today, Godswill Akpabio, was governor of Akwa Ibom State, was senator of Akwa Ibom Northwest the first term, was minister of Niger Delta, and presently went back to the Senate and is the Senate president of Nigeria. A lot of years that is spent in public service. Let's talk about development of young people, because in 1999 we had a lot of young people who were governors. We had Rotimi Amechi, very young, right, as governor in 2007. We had Donald Duke in 1999, governor of Cross River State. You've been in Cross River for a long, so you understand the history. He was a young person at that time, and in different other states in the region, we had young people. Are we still having young people like yourself in positions of authority, not just seen at the table, but heard and giving opportunity to even do presentations on the table?
As a matter of fact, like you rightly said, I want to state this, that when it has to do with leadership, I do not think that leadership ought to be given.
Right.
You ought to take leadership. You listed out a couple of persons. They were not given, they took it. So they made their voices heard. They came out, they stood tall, and then, they pushed for their voices to be heard and for themselves and their structures to be considered. Now, so I want to say categorically that much more than ever, a whole lot of young people are becoming more involved in politics, in what happens in the nation and in their various states. Young people are beginning to request for their leaders. They are beginning to hold their leaders accountable. So what I see happening now much more, of course, a whole lot of young people who are, going into politics, who are contesting for different positions in their various states for governorship, and almost all the members of the House of Assembly. In fact, for a state like Bayelsa, there are very few of them who are up to 50. So you have a whole lot of them as young people that are in these various positions. If you look across River States and, a couple of other states, you will see that they are youths, young people who are in these various positions of authority. Now, like I said, if you observe the trend right now, young people are becoming more concerned about building capacity, about speaking up and demanding for accountability. From the South region, different modalities are being used. We have a whole lot of young people going into in fact, they've become more vocal. They are activists speaking up and looking straight into the government and demanding for a certain level of accountability. So as much as young people are getting involved, there are those who have said, I don't want to get involved, basically. I want to sit back and ensure that the government is doing what it ought to do. I am proud to say this, that one of the voices, a young person who has stood until his voice is heard, in fact, at the mention of his name, every politician trembles. Almost every politician trembles. You don't want to get in his bad book. And I'm talking about the young man from Agenebode, which is in Edo State. I'm talking about none other than VDM. That's a young man. In fact, a lot of persons have called him to come into positions of authority in the government. He said no, he's not interested in being a politician or being a leader in that light. But he wants to set up a structure where a whole lot of young people are led, are empowered, and are being able to speak and request accountability. So a whole lot of empowerment is ongoing. That we are very much aware of. Certain structures have been put in place that helps with the training and empowerment of young people in skills, in entrepreneurship. Such structures like we're talking about, like NDDC, the Presidential Amnesty, and then, a whole lot of other individual persons. In fact, within some of the states, I can speak for most of the states. I can speak for Rivers State. I can speak for Bayelsa State. I can speak for Cross River State now with Prince Basio too. There are a whole lot of empowerment schemes going on for young people, from the ones that has to do with getting them off the streets from drugs, into giving. In fact, recently there was a program that had to do with young people. I think youth initiative that had to do with building capacity beyond politics and the government. And that in Bayelsa, that convergence carried thousands of young people, and they brought in top celebrities, in the music, in the movies, entrepreneurs, to talk with the young people, interface with the government, and came up with a strategy to get young people empowered, trained, and then, given the needed support in various aspects of human endeavor.
Right. So I'd like to ask about security, because it used to be a very topical issue. Now we talk about security all over Nigeria, but for a long time, the security concern was majorly in the South. Remember the Niger Delta militants. It was a big deal. Expatriates were abducted, kidnapping, and all of that. All facility and even threats sometimes will come online, and we used to see, they say this particular oil company and all of that. But let's talk about security in the region now. Is a region, how's the security in the region at the time?
As of now, you made mention of then. I also want to state this categorically clear. Right. What is happening in terms of insecurity in Nigeria now is not what used to happen then within the Niger Delta region. What you had happening then was the fight for the voices of the people to be heard. Such things as the control of our resources within the region. Such things as not being marginalized, as being producers, as being those who suffer from the effect of oil explorations. As I speak to you right now, my community, it's an oil producing community. In fact, a lot of pipelines pass through my community. There are no fishes. I grew up fishing as a young boy in less than 6 years of age. I stood at the back of my father's house with, when you grow up from the south, there's a stick, then you tie your rope, your strings, and your hook at the back of my father's house. And you stay there and throw, and you catch big fishes. As I speak to you now, there are no fishes. Almost some of our rivers have even gotten dried up. The farmlands have been affected. Why? Because of these oil explorations and how much it has devastated the ecosystem in itself. So at the time, the young people within the region had to rise up to say, no, we are suffering, things are happening, yet we can't see the dividends of democracy. We can't see the benefits of what is happening in our place. We own this oil, yet it is taken from our backyard, and it's being used to develop other parts of the country. And so the young people said, no, we demand that attention should be given to the region, to the communities that are producing the fuel that runs the wheel of this economy. So at that time, all they needed to do was, or what was happening was, we don't want you to keep producing and ignoring us. So if you have expatriates coming to do the kidnap, all of that was meant to get the attention of the government to do the needful within the region. It's not now that they were not going after innocent women and children, raping and killing and bombing. No, that wasn't what was going on in the southern region, in the southern region. So it has to be specifically clear. That's why when Buhari came with the concept of the presidential amnesty, in line with Sir Mike Okiro, he brought up this idea to the government. A very big kudos to Sir Mike Okiro, the retired Inspector General of Police at the time. He's from River State. So he came up with this, talk to see how to develop this program. And it became what you call the presidential amnesty, to say, okay, these things have been done. We don't like what is happening. We want the progress of the country. We want the oil to keep flowing. We want the development. But what do we do? Okay, for all those who had been involved in this, we're going to give you a pardon. And so that was what was happening at the time in the region. And that's why I said we will give kudos to such people as the late president and somebody like Sir Mike Okiro. He is currently the chairman of the board of trustees of the entire, South-South committee here in Abuja. So if he's hearing me, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. Yes.
All right. So, So I have other questions to ask. You've talked about the fact that so has security improved significantly in the region?
Now, in devotion to that time, now, yes, to a large extent. But again, of recent, we are beginning to experience what has been happening in other parts of the country, especially in the north east and then the north central. We're hearing pockets of what you call Fulani herders and militias, attacking people, kidnapping. Of course, before now, we weren't hearing such things, but now communities are being affected. We've heard of the ones that happened in Edo State. Of course, communities being attacked, and the same, crop of people begin to. Of course, we've also heard in Cross River States, the road between Odukpani and when you're heading towards Northern Cross River, that road too, we've had a couple of all of such incidents. Warri, Bayelsa Road, so in Port Harcourt, just a pocket of those. But at the same time, we also want to give kudos to the internal, security structures in these various states. They've been able to stand a little bit, even though they've not gotten all that is required. But we've not experienced what it is that has been happening in the middle belt or the north central and northeastern regions.
Right. So as we end the conversation, I'd like to ask about your group, that's South region, the people where you lead the youth, and how's the leadership been? How are you leading them?
Well, thank you so much. For the South committee has been in existence for since 2014. And we've had different leaderships. And my own tenure came in just this year, around April this year. April last year, the entire elections were done. And then this year, the official inauguration was done around April. So since then, what we have tried to do is to build the structure of the entire South community. As I speak, we have well over 2,000, members, and people have been calling. We've done an official setup of the community. The ESCOs have been set up, and what we're trying to do is to mobilize the entire youths from the South region that are residents here in Abuja. And I can tell you that the capacity we have is well over 50,000 in the heart of Abuja. And as I speak, calls are coming in from various ends, and they're asking questions. And just, to let us know, by by March 2026, we're going to be having what you call the South-South Youth Confab, a convergence of not less than 5,000 youths from the South-South region here in Abuja. What are we trying to do? To establish our presence. And the theme of that program is the role of the South-South youths in national leadership and regional development.
Right. So for adverts, you have to come and pay us. Advert rates. We'll tell you the advert rate, and you have to pay us to do that. But you, let's talk about the integration.
Yes.
How are youths receiving? How are you able to reach out to people from other states? Are they not segregation? People say, no, I'm not from this state. This is not my state, and all of that.
Oh no, it's a community, right? And the community is everybody from the 6 states in the South-South region. So we already have a community in itself. So what we're doing is, in fact, so the structure we have is that from each state, we have the leadership. So across the leadership structure, we have representatives from the various states. And for the youth structure, we have almost 5 representatives from the 6 states in the South-South region. So these 5 persons are from their communities. Each of the states have communities, just like Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom has a community here. Cross River has, it's called Krida. And then RIFCOM, River State Community, they have it all over. So from that structure, we have the youths that are brought in.
So for the youths, you do you train them. Is there an empowerment? Because I know youths like empowerment.
Yes. Now a whole lot. Those have been outlined, and where, like I said, we just inaugurated the ESCO of the South-South Youth just a few weeks back. And so the next structure we're looking at is to now go into full-scale, structured empowerment of the youth community. So such things as empowerments and trainings and skills acquisition, it will cut across scholarship, educational, vocational, and personal social. So it's to build the totality of every youth that is from the South-South region that is resident here in Abuja.
All right. So as we move forward, do you think the South-South region is positioned to compete in Nigeria as a major player in the Project Nigeria?
Oh yes, of course. The South-South region has all it takes. We have all level of manpower, professionally and all around in various fields of human endeavor to compete favorably, when it has to do with development of this nation. Yes, we do. We have them across the length and breadth of the South-South region. So
how are you integrating, how are you discussing with political leaders, and how are they receiving the message?
Gradually, it's been done. Like I said, it's a new structure that is, it's been there, but it's a what you call a refurbishment in itself. And we've interfaced with a couple of them, and many of them are so excited to have this structure. And we trust God that in a short period of time, we'll be able to fully integrate our political leaders into the structure and into the developmental strides and projects for the entire South-South region and the youth community.
All right, thank you so much. Olali Ibinabo Henry, the youth leader of the South-South community in Abuja. Thank you so much for coming on the show as we looked at regional development, South-South politics, and social-political factors. All right, people, that's the size of our program for tonight. Remember that Nigeria is our country, and we must continue to build this country by doing the right thing always. My name is Ubong Osara in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.